My toxic mom kicked out my girlfriend on Thanksgiving because she's not real family. Now that we're successful, she wants us back. Not a chance. Sup, Reddit. I grew up with a mom who always needed to be in control and quick to judge. Dating someone she didn't approve of? Forget it. So I said, nah, screw that, and started building my own life away. But of course, she wasn't done. She tried to guilt me and insult my girlfriend. Before we get to all that, let me start from the beginning. I'm Ryan, 22 male, and this all kind of started when I went to college last year. For the first time in my life, I actually felt like I could breathe without my mom hovering over me every second. If you've ever had a parent who needs to know every little thing you're doing and has an opinion on all of it, you know what I mean? Growing up, my mom was, how do I put this, intense. Everything had to be her way. Like if I wanted to go out with friends? Nope. Suddenly I'm being told I don't care about family. If I stayed home instead, then I'm a loser who never leaves the house. There was no winning with her. And the yelling? Oh man, the yelling. I can't count how many times she screamed at me over dumb things like leaving a dish in the sink or forgetting to text her when I was already safe somewhere. My dad's around, but he's not much help. He's the quiet type who just lets her do her thing. When she'd start yelling, he'd just sit there like he wasn't even in the room. Maybe he thought it was better not to get involved. But as a kid, it just felt like I was on my own. One memory that always stands out about how my mom could be comes from when I was about 15. My dad had planned this small Sunday lunch with my aunt and uncle. Nothing fancy, just burgers on the grill, a chance for everyone to hang out. My mom spent the whole morning cleaning the house like we were hosting the president. She was wiping down things no one would ever notice, like the tops of cabinets. At first it was fine, but then she started snapping at everyone. My dad forgot to bring in a folding chair, and she yelled that he was lazy. I tried to help by setting the table, but I put the forks on the wrong side, and she stopped what she was doing to tell me I never pay attention. When my younger cousin accidentally dropped a cup, she went off like it was the end of the world, saying things like, "No one respects the house." I remember feeling so tense the whole lunch, like I couldn't relax because if anything was even slightly off, she'd say something. My dad just stayed quiet, letting her rant. And when the guests finally left, she acted like nothing happened. It was like she had this switch she could turn off, but for us at home, that was normal. So yeah, college felt like freedom. I moved into a dorm, and even though it wasn't fancy or anything, it felt like a whole new world. Because I didn't have someone monitoring every step I took. I could eat cereal for dinner if I wanted, or leave my laundry for a few days without getting a lecture. That might sound small, but for me, it was huge. Now, here's where things get interesting. During my first semester, I met this girl named Emily. We were in the same intro class and ended up in a group project together. At first, we were just classmates. Then we started talking more, and eventually became good friends. She was smart, kind, and easy to be around. After a while, we started hanging out more outside of class, grabbing coffee, studying together, stuff like that. And then toward the end of freshman year, we started dating. Honestly, it just felt right. There was no big dramatic moment, no weird games, just two people who liked each other deciding to see where it goes. Being with Emily made college feel even better. She's supportive, chill, and doesn't make me feel like I'm walking on eggshells all the time. We'd go on walks, binge shows, and sometimes just sit in the library doing homework together for hours. It was easy, and I loved that. Now, here's the thing. I didn't tell my parents about Emily. At first, it wasn't like some big plan. I just didn't feel like dealing with it. My mom is the type who thinks any girl I date is automatically bad news. Doesn't matter who she is, my mom just wants control. And dating means I'm distracted or not focused on my future. So, yeah, I didn't tell her. Not because I was ashamed or anything. Emily's awesome. But because I didn't want to hear the yelling and insults. I thought maybe this was my chance to keep the peace. Like, if I didn't bring up stuff that would set my mom off, we'd avoid all the fights. That was the plan in my head. Keep things low-key, enjoy my relationship, focus on school, and just avoid drama. So after Emily and I started dating, life felt simple. I knew dating news would set her off. She questioned everything, even movie nights with friends, so I kept Emily private. Not lying, just protecting something good. Now, this wasn't like some huge secret. I wasn't lying. If my parents asked what I was doing, I'd just say, "I'm going out," or "I'm studying with a friend," which was true because Emily was my friend before she was my girlfriend. But I wasn't adding, "Oh, by the way, she's my girlfriend now." It was working. My grades were good, I was working part-time, I had an internship coming up, and I was happy. Most of that summer, I wasn't even home. The internship kept me in another city. and I stayed busy. Every time I'd call my mom, she'd do her usual thing, asking about classes, money, whatever. Sometimes she'd slip in little comments about how I better not be wasting time with nonsense. It was just her way, and I let it go in one ear and out the other. I think what hurt sometimes, even though I tried not to think about it, was how little trust there seemed to be. I wasn't some wild kid. I wasn't failing classes or staying out all night. I was working hard, doing everything I was supposed to. But with her, nothing ever felt good enough. So keeping Emily to myself wasn't about being shady. It was self-protection. Emily, on the other hand, was so different from my family life. Her family was chill, supportive, and pretty nice. I met her parents once when they came to campus, and they were like, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you." No interrogation, no weird comments. It was just normal. That was a big deal for me. There were times I wished I could share that part of my life with my family, especially with my mom. Like, it would have been nice if she could just be happy for me. But every memory I had told me that wasn't how it would go. She was the type to pick apart anything that wasn't her idea or her choice. I thought about telling her, but I knew she'd make it hell for both of us. The whole thing gave me this weird mix of guilt and relief. So the plan was simple. Keep it low-key until maybe one day I'd feel like it was safe. But life has this way of not letting things stay hidden for long, and my mom's the type who always finds out sooner or later. At that point, though, I wasn't worried. I thought, okay, even if she gets mad, I'm not living at home, I'm busy. She can't really control what I do. But I underestimated how quickly things could go sideways once she actually knew. That moment was coming, and when it hit, it wasn't pretty. One weekend, I went back home during a short break. It wasn't anything major, just a quick trip to see my parents, do laundry, and eat some real food. Emily was visiting her family in my hometown that weekend, so we decided to grab dinner while I was there. Nothing fancy, just a casual place we both liked. I didn't even think twice about it because I wasn't trying to hide anything that day. I didn't tell my mom where I was going, but I never lied either. I just said, I'm going out for a bit. And that was enough for her to start asking questions. But I brushed them off. Here's where things went downhill. Someone my mom knows saw Emily and me out together. I guess small towns don't let you live in peace. This person must have said something like, "Oh, I saw Ryan with a girl last night." And of course, my mom took that as a personal insult. The next morning, before I even had a chance to sit down with my coffee, my mom came straight at me. I was still half asleep, wearing sweats, and she was standing in the kitchen like she'd been waiting for me. "Who is this girl? Why didn't you tell us? Are you hiding things now?" Her voice was sharp, like I'd done something illegal. I blinked at her, trying to wake up. "Mom, relax. She's a friend. We grabbed dinner. That's it." She crossed her arms, eyes narrowing. "Don't lie to me. People saw you. You're dating her, aren't you? I can't believe you'd keep something like this from your own family." Now I was annoyed. "So what if I am? I'm 19. It's my life. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd blow up exactly like this." That was like lighting a fuse. "Excuse me? Blow up? Ryan, we do everything for you. Everything. And you can't even be honest? We're paying for your loans, supporting you, and this is how you repay us? Sneaking around like a child?" I felt my face getting hot. "I'm not sneaking around. I just wanted to avoid drama. And look, you're proving me right." Her voice rose, echoing down the hallway. "Drama? You're distracted. You should be focusing on your future, not wasting time on some girl. Do you know how much pressure we're under for you to succeed?" My dad poked his head in at this point, probably sensing the tension. He didn't say anything, just kind of stood there. My mom turned on him too. "Mark, can you believe this? He's throwing everything away?" "Mom, seriously?" I said, "You don't even know her. Emily's smart and—" "I don't care," she cut me off. "You lied. And if she was so great, you wouldn't be hiding her." I felt this wave of frustration. I wasn't hiding her because she's bad. I was hiding her because you judge everything I do. You call me lazy when I'm home, and selfish when I'm out. There's no winning with you. Her face went red, and her hands were gripping the counter. "Don't you dare talk to me like that in my house. If you can't respect this family, maybe you don't belong here." My dad finally spoke, quiet but tense. "Enough, both of you." But even then, it was like his voice didn't matter. My mom just kept staring at me like I'd betrayed her. "Fine," I said, trying to stay calm. "Believe what you want. I'm not doing anything wrong, and I'm done arguing." "Typical," she shot back. "Walk away when things get hard. That girl is going to ruin you." I didn't say another word. I grabbed my keys and left for the day. When I came back that night, she wouldn't look at me. The whole weekend was icy, with my dad keeping quiet and my mom only speaking when she had to. It was like I'd broken some unspoken rule by just living my own life. When I went back to school, I told Emily what happened. She wasn't surprised. She knew my mom's personality from the stories I'd told. Emily was supportive and told me not to let it bother me too much, but I could tell she was worried. Not about herself, but about how much this stuff stressed me out. Over the next few weeks, my mom and I barely talked. When we did, it was awkward. It got to a point where I didn't even want to call home. Every conversation turned into an interrogation or a guilt trip. I tried a couple times to talk to her calmly about it. I'd say things like, "Look, Mom, Emily's great. You'd like her if you gave her a chance. She's doing really well in school too." But she'd shut me down with something like, "You're too young to know what's good for you. You need to focus on your future." And maybe part of me still wanted her approval. I wanted her to at least say, "Okay, just be careful." But instead, it was all negativity. That's when I started realizing this wasn't just about Emily. This was about control. My mom wasn't mad because I was dating. She was mad because she wasn't the one in charge of that part of my life. By the time Thanksgiving came around, things between me and my mom were still weird. We weren't fighting every day or anything, but the air was tense. Whenever I called home, it was short and kind of cold. She'd ask if I was still seeing that girl, and I'd just say yeah, or I'm busy, and keep it moving. I could tell she wasn't happy about it, but I wasn't going to lie or break things off with Emily just to make her feel better. Thanksgiving was coming up, and I went back and forth on whether I even wanted to go home. Part of me wanted to skip it, stay on campus, and just spend it with Emily. But my dad had called a couple times, and he sounded like he really wanted me to come. He's not the type to push, but I could tell he missed me, and I didn't want to punish him for my mom's behavior. I also thought maybe, just maybe, if my mom actually met Emily, she'd see that she's nothing like whatever she's made up in her head. Emily's sweet, polite, smart, basically everything you'd want someone your kid to date to be. I talked to Emily about it, and she was hesitant at first because she knew how my mom could be, but she said she'd go if I really wanted her to. I promised her I'd handle any drama, and I thought it might go okay if I kept things calm. So Thanksgiving morning rolls around. Emily and I drive to my parents' place. She even brought a small pie she baked herself, which kind of melted my heart because she was trying so hard to make a good impression. We get there, and my mom is at the door. At first, she's polite. She says hello to Emily, shakes her hand, even smiles a little. I thought, okay, maybe this won't be so bad. The first hour was okay. Emily and I got there early. She handed my mom the pie she baked, and my mom gave a polite but short thanks. My dad seemed happy to see us. Emily jumped in to help with cooking, offered to set the table, all that polite stuff you do when meeting parents. I thought maybe, just maybe, this could go smoothly. But if you know my mom, you know it doesn't take much. It started small. My mom asked Emily what her major was. Emily said it calmly, with a little smile, and my mom raised an eyebrow. "Oh, that's interesting. Not very practical though, right?" Emily just stayed polite. "I like it a lot," but I could already feel my jaw tightening. Then came the comment about clothes. Emily wore a nice sweater and jeans. Nothing wild, but my mom looked her up and down and said, "I guess that's what kids wear to family holidays now." Emily gave a little awkward laugh, like she was trying to brush it off, but I could see the way her smile tightened. When we sat down to eat, the air was already heavy. My mom started throwing out questions, but they didn't sound like questions. They sounded like little tests. "So, Emily, do your parents let you spend this much time away from home? Are you planning to just work a regular job after school or something bigger?" Emily answered politely every time, but my mom kept that little edge in her voice, like she was waiting for a wrong answer. Then she turned it on me. "Ryan, I just hope you're not getting distracted. College isn't cheap. You can't afford to waste time." I said, "Mom, can we just enjoy dinner?" Emily's here as a guest, not to get interrogated. Her fork clinked on her plate. She gave me this sharp look. "Excuse me, I'm just talking. If she can't handle a few questions, maybe she's not the right person for you." That was the first time I saw Emily shrink back a little. She didn't cry, but she went quiet, and that killed me inside. I said, "She's fine, Mom. What's not fine is you being rude." My mom's voice went up a notch. "Rude? This is my house. Don't you dare talk to me like that. You bring someone into my home and expect me to just sit here and smile?" I kept my cool but firm. "No, I expect you to treat her like a human being." That was it. She hated losing control, and me standing up for Emily felt like betrayal to her. And then it happened. She slammed her napkin on the table and said, "You know what? If she's that sensitive, she can get out. I won't have her ruining my dinner." Emily's face went red. She quietly said, "It's okay. I can go." That was it for me. I stood up, my chair scraping the floor. Number. We're both going. Thanks for the meal, but this was a mistake. My mom started again, louder this time. Oh, so you're just going to walk out? With her? That's what you choose? Yes, I said. If this is how you treat people I care about, then yeah, that's what I choose. My dad had been quiet the whole time, just watching. He finally stood, but all he said was, "Be safe, son." I think he wanted to say more, but couldn't. We walked. Emily was silent until we got in the car. She said, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause a fight." I told her, "Don't ever apologize for that. You were perfect." That's on my mom. That night, I packed what I had left in my old room and told them I wouldn't stay there for breaks anymore. My mom didn't say a word. She just stood there with her arms crossed. My dad looked sad, but didn't stop me. That drive back to school with Emily felt weirdly freeing. I was sad, yeah, but also relieved. It was like something finally broke, and I wasn't going to keep pretending everything was okay. The next couple weeks were a blur. I stayed in my dorm at first, but it didn't feel right anymore. Going home for breaks wasn't an option. Even if I wanted to, I didn't trust that my mom wouldn't blow up again or treat Emily like she didn't belong. I started staying at Emily's place more, which was off-campus housing she shared with a couple roommates. They were pretty cool and didn't mind me hanging around. Honestly, they were more welcoming than my own family. Emily and I talked a lot about what to do next. I had some money saved from my internship, and I was still working part-time. She worked too, and we figured if we were careful, we could afford a small place together. It wasn't going to be fancy, but it would be ours. So that's what we did. We found this tiny apartment not far from school. The walls were thin, the kitchen was basically a closet, and the bathroom door didn't even close all the way. But to us, it felt like freedom. We signed the lease, packed our stuff, and moved in. I remember the first night there. We didn't even have all our furniture yet. Just a couple of chairs, a mattress on the floor, and some boxes. But we sat there eating takeout, laughing about how small the place was. And I felt this wave of calm. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't worried about someone yelling at me or criticizing every move I made. It wasn't easy, though. Living on our own meant every little thing was on us. Bills, groceries, rent, schoolwork. It added up fast. There were nights we were tired and stressed. But Emily and I were a team. She was there when I was buried in assignments, and I was there when she had rough days. We learned how to cook simple meals together, made a game out of budgeting, and even thrifted most of our furniture. Looking back, I think that little apartment was one of the best things that could have happened to me. It forced me to grow up fast, but also gave me space to breathe. My mom's voice was still in the back of my mind sometimes, but it wasn't running my life anymore. There were moments I missed my dad. He wasn't the problem. He just never stood up to my mom. I wished I could have had more time with him without the tension. I called him once or twice, but it was awkward. He'd ask how school was going. I'd say, "Good," and that was it. He never really asked about Emily, but I could tell he probably wanted to. Emily knew that part hurt me. She'd sit with me sometimes when I was quiet and just let me talk it out. She reminded me that this wasn't forever, that one day maybe things could be different. But for now, we needed distance. Those first months away were a mix of stress and excitement. We were both full-time students, working part-time jobs, and trying to keep the lights on. We budgeted like crazy. Sometimes dinner was just pasta with whatever sauce we could afford, but it didn't matter. We'd sit on the floor, plates in our laps, laughing about how broke we were, but how happy we felt. I learned so much about Emily during that time. She's ridiculously supportive. There were nights when I was buried in assignments and stressed out, and she'd quietly make tea and sit beside me, not saying much, just being there. She had her own rough days too, and I'd do the same. Listen, try to help, or just let her vent. We were becoming a team in every sense of the word. Of course, there was still the thing hanging over us. My mom. She hadn't disappeared. After Thanksgiving, she kept her distance for a few weeks, but eventually the calls and texts started again. At first, they were angry. "You embarrassed me." Embarrassed. "You walked out on family." Then they turned into guilt trips. "We did everything for you, and this is how you treat us? Don't forget who paid for those loans." I'd answer when I felt like it, but always short. "I'll pay you back. I'm busy." I didn't have the energy to fight anymore, and I didn't see the point. When she realized anger wasn't working, she switched to acting hurt. "I just want my son back." "You're being selfish." Then she started asking about money, saying things were tight at home. It felt less like she wanted to reconnect and more like she wanted control again. And that's when I noticed something. The less I gave in, the more she tried to pull me back in. She even started throwing subtle jabs at Emily without saying her name. Stuff like, "Ever since you left, you've changed." I hope whoever you're with is worth it. But by that point, I was done feeling guilty. I was building something with Emily, and we were doing fine without my mom's constant criticism. Sure, it wasn't perfect. We had arguments, usually over money or stress. But it was normal stuff, not someone trying to control your entire life. Graduation came faster than I expected. Emily and I both worked hard, and somehow we made it. We walked across that stage together, and I swear it was one of the proudest moments of my life. My dad came to the ceremony. My mom came too, but it was awkward. She said hello to Emily, but it was stiff, like she was forcing herself to be polite. She congratulated me, but it felt like she wanted to remind me that she was still there, still watching. After graduation, Emily and I got decent jobs in the city. We moved into a slightly bigger apartment, still small, but it had an actual kitchen this time. That first paycheck, we split the bills, bought groceries, and realized we weren't scraping by anymore. It was a huge relief. And here's the thing. Success doesn't magically fix family issues. My mom didn't suddenly become nice because I was working full-time. In fact, sometimes it felt like she was more frustrated because now she couldn't tell me what to do. She tried guilt trips about money and loans, but I kept my distance. It's not that I didn't want to help. If my parents truly needed something serious, I'd step in. But the way my mom asked made it clear it wasn't about needing me. It was about control. She wanted me back under her roof, back where she could keep tabs on everything. Emily saw all of this and was nothing but patient. She never pushed me to cut my mom off completely, but she did remind me to protect my own peace. And I think that's why things with Emily worked so well. We had each other's backs, but we respected boundaries. Over time, the guilt faded. I stopped feeling bad about living my own life. I worked hard, paid my bills, paid down those loans. Every once in a while, my mom would call and try to act sweet, saying things like, "You and Emily should come visit," or "I'd love to see you two." But I could hear it in her tone. It wasn't really about wanting to know us. It was about not being left out now that things were going well for me. And the truth is, I wasn't angry anymore, just tired. Tired of trying to make her happy when nothing I did was enough. I learned to keep my distance and keep things polite but short. Emily and I were happy. We weren't rich, but we were stable. We could finally afford little things. New furniture, a weekend trip, a nice dinner out every now and then. We were building a life, slowly, and it felt good to know we did it on our own. By the time a year or two passed, Emily and I were solid. We had our routines, jobs, and a little place that actually felt like a home. We weren't swimming in money, but we were comfortable. My mom knew about it. She always found a way to keep tabs on things, mostly through calls or quick texts. Sometimes she'd ask how work was, but usually, the conversations turned into little digs or guilt trips. "You could be saving more if you weren't paying rent. You know we helped you with school, right? We're getting older, Ryan. We can't do everything forever." I tried to keep things polite but short. "Yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm working on the loans. Hope you guys are good." The less I gave her to work with, the better. But something changed once she realized I wasn't coming back, and that Emily and I weren't just some college thing. We were serious. We were building something, and we didn't need anyone to tell us how to do it. That's when my mom's approach started to shift. It started subtle. Instead of criticizing, she'd ask little questions like, "How's Emily?" Or, "Do you two have plans to visit?" And honestly, if I didn't know her, it might have seemed nice. But I knew my mom. She doesn't just switch overnight. One time she even said, "I always liked Emily. She seems nice." That one made me laugh a little because I remembered Thanksgiving like it was yesterday. I remembered how Emily sat there being polite while my mom made those little digs about her clothes, her major, everything. Now suddenly she always liked her? Yeah, okay. There was also the money talk. My mom started hinting more and more that they were struggling. Bills, repairs, whatever. She'd say, "It's hard to keep up these days. I wish family could help more." It was clear she wanted me to feel responsible, to step in. And part of me felt bad. She's still my mom. But another part of me remembered all those years where she made everything harder than it had to be. I'm not heartless. I helped where I could, but I did it carefully. A little money here, paying something small there, but never more than I could handle. And I kept boundaries. I wasn't moving back in. I wasn't going to let guilt run my life again. Every so often, she'd try to act like everything was great. "Come home for dinner. Bring Emily. We'd love to see you." And I'd think, "We? Or you just want to show that things are fine now that I'm doing well?" It felt like she wanted credit. Like she didn't want to be left out now that the kid she yelled at all the time turned out okay. Emily saw through it too. She never told me what to do, but she'd gently remind me, "You know what's real and what's not. Don't feel pressured to do anything you don't want to." That meant a lot. Having someone in your corner who gets it, that's everything. One Saturday morning, though, there was a knock at the door. We weren't expecting anyone. Emily looked at me, and I went to open it. There she was, my mom, standing in the hallway like she owned the place. No text, no call, nothing. She just showed up. "Hi, Ryan," she said, like this was the most normal thing in the world. "Can I come in?" I hesitated, but I moved aside because I didn't want to cause a scene in the hallway. Emily came out of the kitchen, surprised, but she smiled politely. My mom looked around the apartment like she was inspecting it. "This is nice. Small, but nice." "Hi, Emily," Emily said. "Hi, it's good to see you," being as polite as ever. My mom sat down on the couch without asking. "Listen, I've been thinking. I miss you. Your dad misses you. I think we all need a fresh start. Maybe you two could come back home for a while. We could help you save money. And Emily, I think you're a lovely girl." The sudden compliment threw me off, because I remembered every insult she threw at Thanksgiving. I knew what this was. She wasn't suddenly a changed person. She just didn't want to be left out now that we were doing okay. I said, "Mom, thanks, but we're fine here. We've got our own place, our own bills, our own space. We like it this way." Her smile tightened. "Ryan, I'm just trying to help. You know, family should stick together. We've always been there for you, and now you're acting like we're strangers. Do you know how much that hurts? We did everything for you. And what do we get? Silence." I could feel the guilt trip coming a mile away. "Mom, I appreciate what you've done, but this is what's best for me. For us." Then she turned up the pressure. "Best for you? What about us? Do you even care? We took loans for you, we worked hard, and now when we need you, you're off playing house with some girl. Your dad and I are struggling, Ryan. We could use your help. But no, you're too busy pretending you're grown up." Emily shifted uncomfortably, and I could feel my blood starting to boil. "Mom, enough. We're paying our own way. We're not pretending. This is our life now. If you need something specific, just say it. But don't come here to tear us down." That's when she got sharper. "I'm your mother. You owe me respect. And you," she turned to Emily, "you should know you're pulling him away from his family. That's not right." I stood up. "Stop. Emily's done nothing wrong. You don't get to come into our home and blame her for your problems." My mom stood too, voice rising. "Your home? You think this little apartment makes you independent? You think you know better than the people who raised you?" "Mom, I'm not going to do this," I said, keeping my voice steady but firm. "We're happy. We're working hard. We're not moving back, and we're not going to be guilted into feeling bad for living our lives." She scoffed. "So you're just going to throw away your family? Over this?" I opened the door. "I'm asking you to leave." Her face went red. "You're kicking me out? Your own mother?" "Yes, because you came here uninvited, tried to guilt me, and insulted the person I care about. I won't allow that in my home." For a second, it was dead quiet. My mom's mouth opened like she was going to say something else, but she just shook her head and walked out, muttering something about how I'd regret this one day. When the door closed, Emily came over and hugged me. I could feel her shaking a little. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "I just can't do that anymore." Before I wrap this up, I should mention my dad. He was quiet through most of this. And yeah, that hurt sometimes. I wished he'd stood up more, but I think that's just who he is. Someone who avoids fights. After everything went down, he stayed in touch here and there. Short calls, simple questions like, "How's work? How's Emily?" The last time we talked, it was different. He called me after my mom had one of her guilt trip moments and just said, "I'm proud of you. I know things weren't easy here. You're doing the right thing." That was it. No long speech, just those words. It meant a lot. The biggest thing I learned is that family doesn't give you a free pass to be hurtful. Respect is a two-way street. I spent too long thinking I had to earn love by keeping quiet and avoiding conflict. Turns out, the real peace came from finally saying no and standing by it. Mom can keep calling, but the door only opens when respect comes with it.